Vasel, and you are watching the AlphaBest series. This is a series of lists of my top 10 favorite games from each letter of the alphabet. And there are always letters that people say, oh, you have a hard time with that letter. And you might think that way about the letter K, but K has so many amazing games that my 10 were very easy to pick from this one. There are some great games out there. Hopefully these give you some food for the thought. These are games that you should maybe hunt down and check out. At number 10, Kingdoms. Now, Kingdoms was in the small silver line box series from Fantasy Flight by Dr. Rainer Knizia, and it is an abstract game, to say the least. A small board where you're going to be drawing tiles and put them on this board, and then you'll be also taking your own kingdoms and putting them, and your kingdoms are going to score everything in that row and that column. And so you are trying to make a really good row and column and then put your kingdom there, but someone else might do it first. And at the same time, once you have your kingdom out, put good stuff in it, and then put bad stuff in other people's rows and columns. But if you put that bad thing there, you're also hurting yourself. Really intriguing. They re-released it later on, I believe, with the Beowulf theme, the movie theme. But the original game is just fine. That's Kingdoms. Number 9, there are two versions of the game. The two-player one, which most people have played, and that's Kahuna, although they had a multiplayer one called Kanaloa. They both start with K, so yay, they're on the list. Kahuna is a two-player game in which it's such a unique style game as you try to control islands. You're placing bridges between two islands, and once you have the majority of bridges on an island, you control that island. And when you do that, you kick your opponent's bridges off that island, which might make them lose control of another island. So there can be kind of this domino effect, but then they might come back. And you're trying to control the most islands by the end of the game. Back and forth, there's not many cards in the game, there's not many pieces, and yet it has this nice tension, almost has a tug of war feel against the other player. It's been recently reprinted by Cosmos. I recommend it a lot, Kahuna. Number 8 is a Richard Breese game called Cathedral. There's not many games that use octagons. Most games use squares or hexagons. This one uses octagons. As you place these on the board, it almost has a step-up feeling from Settlers as you're getting different resources as the game goes by and using those to help build the cathedral. The key is something that Richard Breese uses in many of his games, is keydom and keytown and cathedral. But Cathedral is still probably my favorite of the bunch. I would love to see this one reprinted. I don't believe it was ever picked up for very wide distribution, but I still think it's cool. Octagons, come on, man. Number 7 is another game which I wish would get picked up into a larger distribution, and that is Key Largo. Many people know pirate games and simple games. Key Largo is one of those games. I would put this in the same category as I'd put Jamaica and Pirates Cove. But Key Largo is not about pirates as much as it's about going and deep sea diving for treasures from the sunken pirate ships, I think. And you can go to shallow water and get decent treasure, go to deep water and get great treasure, but there's monsters down there. And so there's this kind of simultaneous selection, and if you're the only person to go to some spots, you'll get better deals. If you go to the same spot as other people, it might work out better for you. You want to go diving, and the gameplay just has a lot of great selections, a great gateway game, Key Largo. Number 6 is a two-player abstract strategy game, Ket, K-H-E-T. This is a game with lasers. I believe it was originally called Deflection, but they had to change the name for copyright purposes, and they changed it to Ket, which doesn't say anything about the game really, but it is a lot of fun. You are trying to capture your opponent's piece by pressing a laser that will bounce off mirrors on the board and hit their piece. So on your turn, you're going to either move a piece or rotate a piece and then shoot your laser and try to hit your opponent. So every time you move a piece, you're thinking, okay, I need to move this piece in this spot so I can get my laser here, but I got to be careful that I don't open it up so the laser hits my piece. Very cool abstract game. That's Ket. Number 5 is another two-player abstract game. This one is Kamisato. Kamisato, all your pieces can go forward as far as they possibly can in a straight or diagonal line. If you get one to your opponent's end row, you win. Simple. When you're done moving your piece, the color of the square you move it to, let's say I move a piece to yellow, that means your opponent will move their yellow piece. They move theirs to a green, I now move my piece. So every time I move a piece, I have to think, what piece am I allowing my opponent to move, and where can they possibly move that piece to? The game can take a minute. It could take 20 minutes. There's actually a very long way where you can play back and forth and your pieces evolve and such. But the simple concept of the game offers some cool tactical choices and some forward-thinking strategy. Also some neat-looking pieces. That's Kamisato. All right, now let's get off this abstract stuff to Chaos Ball. This is from Eric Lang and Cool Mini or Not. This is kind of a Blood Bowl reworking in a sense, where you have a team of fantasy warriors who are going up against another team, and you are trying to get the ball and score points with it and just beat up on your opponents. That's really what it is. It's a fight game where a football game broke out, or whatever the sport is. I guess it is called Chaos Ball. The combat is a bit cosmic encounter styles. You both play cards. Everyone has a special ability. There are different types of pieces on the board. Beautiful miniatures. I love this game. Chaos Ball. Number 3 is Kingsburg, especially with the expansion added in. Kingsburg is a dice rolling game where you're going to roll 3 dice and then use those dice and place them and get resources. Using those resources to then build buildings. Using those buildings to get you points and or special abilities as you roll dice and get you points, because at the end of every year, you're going to have to fight some sort of monsters that come in. So you need to make sure you have your military strength up. Players are going to block each other with the dice. It's such an intriguing game, and it's one of the few games that I like the 2-player version with the dummy player, which will roll dice and block you. It works well, but again, I highly recommend the expansion for this one. It adds a lot more options, gives you buildings no one else does. Cool game, Kingsburg. Kingsburg is my number 3. Where are we going here? Well, again, this was one of those lists where my top 2 were very easy to pick. Number 2 is a tie between King of Tokyo and King of New York. The very concept of a game with one space, King of Tokyo, did not seem like it would work. King of New York has more spaces, but it doesn't really matter. You're taking a giant monster and fighting other giant monsters. You were doing so with a Yahtzee-style mechanism, as you roll dice trying to get points and or energy that gives you special abilities and or just fight other monsters. It has a King of the Hill thing where you go into King of Tokyo, come and get me, and they will come and get you. You can win by eliminating the other players or by getting the most points. This is such a satisfying game to play. Lots of fun, lots of cheering. King of Tokyo and its sequel, King of New York. My number 1 favorite game with K. I love this game, and that's Kemet. Kemet is a game that takes place in ancient Egypt, or ancient mythological Egypt, because you are fighting each other with sphinxes and with giant beetles and all sorts of cool monsters. Kemet offers everything I'm looking for in a game. Cool little miniatures. Technology trees where you can have, I want to get this monster, or I want to buy this, and then how my troops do this. There are so many options, and the expansion Tassetti added even more options to the list. The game has a cool combat system where you play cards and flip them over. It plays well, it encourages attacking, and has a cool board where everybody is equidistant from everyone else. I can't think of anything negative to say about Kemet at all. I love the game that much. And when I was making this list, number 1, didn't even blink. I love King of Tokyo and King of New York, but Kemet, number 1. Love this game. Gladly play it. I play it more than almost any of my other games in my collection just because it's so much fun. Hopefully you'll see us playing it live later on this year. Anyway, that's my favorite game with K, Kemet. Well, that's it for this time. See you next time for the letter L. You've been watching the AlphaBest series. My name is Tom Vasel. Thanks for joining us at the Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.